Welcome back to the Witch's Way podcast. I'm Kat.
And I'm Jamie, and today we are diving into the magic of Ostara, the spring equinox.
Oh my gosh.
It's already that
Is
time.
it like the best time of the year?
I love it. Everything
love it.
coming alive, like all the beautiful colors.
It's a magical time.
It's just, everything's like coming back to life.
Yes.
I just love that. I love that feeling of the earth waking up.
Yes.
I do. I love a star.
Yes.
So this is the perfect time to embrace the season of renewal and to honor the goddess Ostara and to welcome the fresh energy of spring. I think that's what I like about it so much.
Oh, man.
It's like you feel like you got a new set of skin or something.
Yes.
Like
You know what? It feels like a fresh start.
Yeah, definitely.
Because everything is coming up
Like
new.
brand new.
Like brand new. All the grass comes back.
Leaves on the trees, the buds, the flowers.
Oh my gosh.
Bees, birds, butterflies are all buzzing around. All the bee words, huh?
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about transitioning from winter to spring. We're going to share the story of the goddess Ostara, which is one of my personal favorites. And one of the first stories I learned when I became a practicing witch was like the story of Ostara.
Did you do a costume of Ostara? Were you Ostara as a...
No, I was Persephone.
Persephone.
Yes,
okay.
which I'm going to mention later. Listen, Kat read my mind. I had to add in my other favorite goddess of spring.
They
are
similar. Okay.
Yes, they both represent. They're different pantheons, but they both represent the same thing, like birth, renewal, fertility, home. Mm-hmm. Yeah, mm-hmm. I love Persephone.
Well, I remember
so that's who I dressed up as.
I remember your
Persephone costume.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that the one that you put the flowers all over?
Mm-hmm.
She spent hours and hours and hours.
So many
sewing
hours.
on flowers.
Flower petals.
And then all over this long, sheer
white dress,
like floor length. It was beautiful. It was really beautiful.
I still have it, like I couldn't get rid of it. It was.
I hope you don't get rid of it. That thing needs to come out, and you need to wear it.
So I was.
You just need to wear it around your house.
So I'm gonna garden in it. I swear, I'm gonna go out and garden in it.
The whole day of this equinox, you just need to get up in the morning.
In it.
Yeah,
I'm like, no, I'm the goddess
and then
of
go
spring
to Publix and Walmart and shit.
Like walk around in public. That's a great listen. I could do it. I definitely go to the beach in it.
Yeah. Oh man, yeah. I think
Imagine
it would be super cool. And you know what? Don't let it go to waste because it was so much work and it was so beautiful. It's a shame to get one wear and then put it away.
Yeah, actually, if you look up there, the second
so Jamie's pointing
in
look up there. Jamie's pointing at this wall on the other side of the room where I've hung all these flower crowns.
Where she confiscated all of my flower crowns and hung them in her house.
They made their way over to my house from Jamie's house.
Yeah.
And you know what? They were here for a certain amount of time. And so I'm like, well, now they need a home. So I hung them up on the wall.
She did.
And now she can't really have them back.
Not without getting a ladder and taking them down. But that's my Persephone crown up there. So you have it up there.
You're going to need that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to need that.
I will need it back.
But that makes me want to dress up for Ostara, actually. I want to make my own crown.
It's nice to have
and have my own, springy dress and stuff like that. Well, that's gotten us a little off track. But you can tell how excited we are about this season.
Yes. I love the spring. It's amazing.
It's the best.
So I was saying, we're going to talk about the transitioning from winter to spring because I don't want you guys to just we're done with winter and then into spring and totally new focus. No, there's this transition period that we want to talk about to help you gain something from the winter time that we were just in and then move forward into spring. Let's lay winter to rest. So let's do a little appreciation for it.
Yeah.
But the other thing that we're going to do is we're going to offer 3 simple ways to harness the energy of spring as a witch, because that's really what this is all about, is tapping in to the nature side of, your witchcraft practice. So we're going to jump right in.
Okay. Transitioning out of winter and into spring. So before we do that, before we actually make that plunge and go it's over.
Spring is here.
Spring is here. Winter's gone. Bye.
Bye, cold days. Don't need you anymore.
Cold days. Cold, dark days. Yeah. Let's spend some time reflecting on the lessons of winter. How did we spend winter? Especially because I feel like winter is a period of growth. This winter has been really There's been a lot going on with me personally this winter. Inside though, it's all on the inside.
It's the internal.
It's internal
reflections.
Yeah, it's internal reflection.
Yeah.
It's been. I've spent a lot of quiet time. I've spent a lot of rest. And I've started journaling now, and like I've got like this my whole 2025 planner that I'm really trying to keep track of the things that I'm doing and how I'm feeling, because one of the things that I noticed over winter, and I think I've been noticing this pattern for a while, is some days I'll wake up and I'm energetic and I'm ready to go, and then other days I wake up and I just don't want to do anything. I just feel super lazy or unmotivated, and I'm like, I feel like there's got to be something going on in the sky, so I want to track that. But this is a good time to reflect on the things that we've learned over the winter. When you think about all the things that happen, like all the holidays, oh my gosh, all the things you have to do with your family. We had a very busy
December.
Very busy December. We had
a little bit into January.
Yeah. We had, you had people in your house for a week.
Oh, yeah.
We had a big party. We had not only activities going on, but also things like 2 cars breaking down in 1 week.
Yeah, just
big things like that.
A lot that set up the winter months to be sort of taxing, or
very taxing.
The remodel at one of the houses.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just been a lot of like to-do list items. That's really what it comes down to. Is like you're still occupied with all these things that need to go on and need to happen. And
it's supposed to be when we're in a period of hibernation, or the earth is definitely hibernating during the winter time, but sometimes we can't do that.
We don't get to rest.
We don't, because there's so much going on starting in...
Because life goes on.
Because what?
Because life goes on. Because the earth is allowed to take her break, but it seems like for us in the modern world, we're forced to just continue on like, nope, what break? No. Yeah.
So... spending some time thinking about that, reflecting on it, writing on it, meditating on it, and then putting it to bed, if you will, or being like, what did I learn from that? I got through a whole lot, and what's the end result? What's the lessons there, or what's the growth? From all of that. I mean, I've seen things in you personally.
In me?
Yeah. Oh. In you. Yeah, I have. And it's amazing to watch the people around me grow. Not just myself. I've seen growth in my grandson and my daughter, my grandson's mother. That would be Cameron.
So the same.
Yeah, so you and Cameron. And then I'm seeing it in your sister. And so it's really...
It's nice that you can recognize that, Like that's something cool that you could tell us about... over a fire or something. It's like, because we still have cool nights, but I will do fires until it's literally, we're sweating still at 9 p.m. I'm all about fire energy during winter, and that's okay. Even in just through the spring, we'll have colder nights, and I'm still about that fire energy. I love it. Yeah. So for me, it's like there are some things that I think we all go through and learn during the winter season. And it's like these are really common lessons. And that I just try to remember them as we're leaving winter and we're going into spring. Like, don't forget to look at what happened over this past winter season, And for me, I really need this because I am usually so energetic, or I have so many things going on. Like, to really understand the value of rest and slowing down. Like, I'd have a therapist tell me that I just go all the time and that's not healthy.
Well, your life demands it.
But I need to make it not demanded. I need to cut things out that I need to minimize. I need to be able to slow down so that I rest.
I think part of it is that you're taking care of a lot of people. You're kind of like responsible for. Yeah. Even though it's just like your kid is grown and it's really,
all grown people I'm responsible for.
It's you and your husband, but you take care of your mother-in-law.
We love our family. We do a lot for our family, and we're kind of, this sounds a little, I was going to say, not conceited. I don't know.
Arrogant.
Arrogant, that we're like the center of the family. We're like the
The center of the universe.
But we're not. It's just that a lot of times the gatherings and the things that we're doing, it's sort of propelled by us. Like we create the event, we do it to our damn selves. We're like, hey, we want to have a party.
Not only that, but you have the entertainment house.
You're
the only place. You're the best place for everybody to go.
Everybody get together.
And gather.
Yes.
It's big enough. There's a nice pool. There's lots of room.
There's a big yard. Yeah.
Everything.
I guess that's why we're like the center sometimes.
You are. You definitely are.
Yeah.
I mean,
we're okay with that. Listen, when we bought that house and it equaled a 6, I knew, I was like, this is a house for family.
Yeah.
So I accept that responsibility willingly. I just know that I also need to you've got to understand, my first thing to remember is the importance of rest, you guys, learning to really honor our need for rest. And this is so hard for me to do. That's why I said a therapist had to actually tell me that I need to be okay with not doing anything. It's that gives me anxiety to think I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing enough. So learning to honor the need for rest instead of constantly striving and pushing and going and
Yeah, and I want to add something to that, because not just honoring the need for it instead of striving and pushing, but also not beating yourself up when you take downtime. When you're like, I don't want to do anything today. I just want to lay on the couch and net chicks and Phil.
Net chicks and Phil.
You guys know what I meant.
That is dyslexic talk for Netflix and chill. I love it.
Yeah, but I think letting go of the guilt that comes with
it does
allowing ourselves to take time off and to just not do anything,
to not be achieving and striving,
to not constantly feel like we have to go. And our society does not really support that. Our society, I feel is oh no, super high achievers. If you're not doing something, you're doing nothing.
Or you're getting called. You're you get the label of you're lazy. You're
lazy.
Not productive. You're lack of motivation. All these things, and they want to fix you.
Yeah.
So that's what it feels very intrusive around the New Year's time, when everybody's like, oh, now we got to go do all these new things. I'm like, no, this is the wrong fucking time to do that. How about let's slow down and do nothing for a couple weeks?
Well, all of that activity leads to burnout, which is another, one of our lessons from
to remember
winter,
about winter,
I think is to by the time we get to winter, you're like, oh, I'm so glad the days are shorter now, because I don't feel compelled to be in my garden until 9:00 at night or working in my yard. Finally the grass stops growing, so you get a break. Because otherwise it's just emotional and physical fatigue, leading to burnout, leading to, I don't know. I don't get sick very often, but I know you got sick a couple of times.
A couple years ago, 2 years ago, I got sick when all the responsibility was thrust on me.
Yeah. This is what happens to us.
Sick, and I never get sick.
And this is what happens to us if we don't take the time if we don't allow ourselves the quiet time and the rest time.
Yeah.
And we just
the slow down time.
Yeah, the slow down time. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So I think that the third lesson is appreciating the stillness and things. And I can go outside and feel the stillness, especially on winter nights. I love them. The night sky here in Florida during winter is some of the best. It's just so clear and everything is quiet, and there's a stillness to it. I haven't been around falling snow in very many years, so many years, and I'm thankful for that. But I can remember that when snow would be falling in Kansas City and you would walk outside and it's there's no sound, everything's absorbed, it's this quiet. It was so crazy to me. So even though it wasn't completely still because the snow was falling, I still think about appreciating when winter is really setting in and you're having to be still because the earth is sort of demanding it. It's you're snowed in. You have things going on. You need to be just in your house, taking stock, being there, just light a candle, sit with your books, do a puzzle, maybe watch TV or a movie or whatever, but
make
doing
something
the small things.
Put something in the crock pot so you smell it all day long while it's cooking.
Chili.
Yeah, pumpkin chili. I'm making chili right now. So another lesson is learning to appreciate the balance of action and rest.
Yeah.
And I think we really see this, for me anyway, I really see this as winter begins, because it's like I don't want to let go. I'm not ready yet. So there's a transition from fall, or what feels like summer here to us in Florida, because it's still really hot.
We only have 2 seasons.
We really do only have 2 seasons.
Summer and not summer. Whatever that looks like.
We have 3. Summer, not summer, and hell.
Hades in action down here.
Exactly. So, appreciating balance, the balance of light and day, the balance of inaction and action, the balance of feeling the pressure of always have to be doing, and allowing yourself to not do stuff, and to just...
And not feel guilty about it.
And not feel guilty about it.
Yeah. Yeah, that one hits home for me a lot.
It hits home for me too.
Yeah.
I think it does for most women, because we are like programmed to be taking care of everybody and everything.
To feel responsible.
Yes, we're responsible for everything.
So that plays perfectly into the next lesson of winter, which is processing your emotions. You need that stillness and quiet time and downtime to process your emotions. And this is when I think that winter can really allow you to sit with yourself. This is where you can get those dark hours where nothing's going on. You're not expected to be anywhere because things shut down. It's cold outside. Nobody's like, oh, hey, come hang out till 9 p.m. Exploring the deeper feelings that might surface in that stillness, in that like lack of doing. Feelings come up. For me, it was guilt, it was anxiety. It was like, oh my God, you could be doing so much right now. Like, this feels like a waste. Why are you just sitting here doing nothing? Don't scroll Instagram. Don't read a book and listen to things. Like, no, you need to don't watch it. Don't binge a show. Like, no, you should be productive. You should be doing something that's like, I don't know, putting things out into the world that's good. I don't even know what my expectation on myself is.
We have a whole business. And so my pressure comes from, I feel like, I can never, because I work full time. I work full time, and then we have Witchworks or New Witch Academy. We have all of that going on, and so I always feel pressure
to be producing,
to be doing stuff. I work on the website. I try to write blog posts. I do research, all these things, and if I'm not doing that, sometimes I'm beating myself up about it.
That's the guilt thing.
Yeah.
So processing those emotions that come up when you are just trying to be still. I've had to do that when, like, I've had practice in this for 2 years now, because when Cameron got diagnosed with epilepsy, I had to sit in hospital rooms. And I had that guilt of like, I could be doing other things, but how could I ever think of not being there with my kid while he's in the hospital? I was so torn. This really fucked me up. Like, to feel the guilt on both ends. Like, I didn't feel like there was anything right that I could be doing. And so I had to start really uncovering that. And that didn't just last a winter season, because he did get diagnosed in winter with epilepsy. So this started my 2023 year. Yeah.
2 years ago.
2023 year started that. And I've had to really work through and be like, you know what? It's okay that I didn't do anything other than love my kid and be there for him. Like, it's okay that all I did today is lay around and binge Netflix with my husband, and we talked about things, and we cuddled, and we just like, we snacked on shit. We didn't even have real meals. Like, I'm starting to find more appreciation in those days or hours than I used to, because life is short, truly, and you don't know what the next day is going to hold for you. And so I stopped feeling guilty about taking that time out to be there, and I'm enjoying myself and its relationships.
Yeah.
Like,
well, which is a segue to our final lesson for winter, which is about building compassion. And this is compassion for yourself.
Definitely.
To be gentler and kinder to yourself, and even to others during this period, during this period of time, or any challenging time for that matter.
I think that winter becomes a charity event, like, in itself, because you think about the people who are without food, fire, warmth, clothing, homes, money, what they can do for themselves, because winter's harder to survive than summer, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I've always heard since I moved to Florida is a great place to be homeless, because we really don't have a harsh winter that people have to escape from.
No place is a great place to be homeless.
No, not at all. But it was like, that was the attitude when I moved here. Like, oh, they're fine.
I actually think Florida may be harder to be homeless, because because people don't have to have shelter from ice and snow like they do in other parts of the country. And so I feel like there may be less resources, for people because we don't,
it's harder, I think.
As a state or as even counties, individually, cities, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know for sure, but we have our homeless population here where we live.
Definitely.
And, those people are outside like all year long.
Yeah. So I think that that's like the building the compassion part of winter.
Yeah.
I think that we start to look at people who don't have, and I think it's more of a giving time, but we forget to give to ourselves. We forget to have that compassion for ourselves.
Yeah.
It's like, again, winter should be about, not totally be about, but there should be the time that we reflect inward for ourselves.
Well,
take care of us.
one of the things that I let get away from me this year, or actually that I had the thought too late, is what it is. I didn't let it get away from me, but I had the thought this year to adopt a family for Christmas to provide presents or, or food for Christmas dinner or Thanksgiving dinner. And I was like, that would be a really good thing for maybe us, even as a family, to come together and go, like, let's find a family or two to support, and we'll all throw in and we can help somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, it just feels like a good thing to do, a right thing to do, a compassionate thing to do. And I know
compassion,
even though I don't see it except for the few homeless people that I see around. I know people are out there that are struggling.
Yeah.
So next year,
the compassion.
Yeah.
Yeah. So being gentle with yourself during challenging times,
Absolutely.
Like right now for you saying, it was too late for me to do that, but you can plan for it this next year, because guess what we're moving on from is like, we're going to, in this reflection of what we can do better for the year, boom, spring is coming, we're planning, we're getting all of our shit. Like, what do you want to achieve this year? Put that in your calendar for November.
Yeah.
Find a family to sponsor, put that in that new 2025 calendar.
You could do the research ahead of time to find out organizations that allow you to sponsor families, or, my heart's always going to go to single moms with kids.
Of course.
Because I was a single mom with kids, and I know how tough that was. So that's what I'm going to look for. I'm going to put that in my plan for this year. I'm absolutely going to do that.
Well, that sort of leads us into the next thing. Like, what's your takeaway from this winter season? And this is something for you as our listeners too. Like, what is your takeaway from this past winter season? What's the big learning thing that you had? What's the thing you dealt with? Maybe it's not solved yet, but what's like the thing that came up for you that you're going to need to work on, you're going to grow with, you're going to sit with, you're going to explore for yourself?
Well, for me, probably the thing that sticks out the most, maybe because it's the most recent thing, is my grandson, Jamie's son, who has epilepsy, moved in with me in March last year. And he worked for a while, and then he didn't, then he wasn't working. And so I had to learn to be a lot more compassionate with him and understanding. And it's hard not to be a mom, even when it's your grandkid, and not, and my kids always pushed my kids. Did I push you?
What? No. Me, the constant overachiever, perfectionist.
Well, I pushed your brother and sister. Maybe I didn't have to push you because you didn't need it, because you were already like that. But yeah, I mean, I think that we have to sometimes give our kids and grandkids even a little nudge, because sometimes they just kind of get really super comfortable. And I kind of saw my grandson getting really comfortable with not working and, just kind of being
just
like...
living at his grandma's house.
Living at his grandma's house, doing nothing. And I'm like, this is not helping you. But there's a balance there with that. For my lesson with him is to... I'm not his mother. I'm his grandmother. So some of those lessons have to come from his mom. But for me, just being a little more understanding, a little kinder. I also had a big thing where we kind of fell out and weren't talking to each other, and there was tension in the house. I had to break through that. So my lessons have come with having a 19-year-old kid in my house, teenager in my house, and I haven't had a teenager in my house for 20 years. So it's been, and you know what? The great thing about it is I feel like that I've actually grown through it, because because I have. I don't feel like I have.
That's
I know
what tough
that I have.
situations do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I am now. I feel like I'm building after once we got past these, like the tension in the house where we weren't speaking because he thought I was mad, and I had to not be my usual hard ass self, which is kind of the parent type that I am. I'm kind of tough. I'm a Scorpio mom. What can I say? You know, I have expectations and chop chop. Let's go.
Need to be moving and working and doing something.
Listen, yeah, we need to be moving towards something. We can't just sit here in retrograde doing nothing, because retrograde, that's what I think of too. When I think of them to get stuck, it's like retrograde, the planet's not actually moving backwards. It's staying, it looks like it is from our vantage point, but it's actually just staying in one place. We can get like that. So anyway, I feel like that's one of my biggest lessons and transformations, kind of, because now I'm like cooking for my grandson and we like talk all the time. And
how did you change that relationship? How'd you change that for yourself? Like, what was the thing that?
Well, you know, there came a point where he wasn't getting a job, and so the last thing I want to do is like put somebody out. But the bottom line is, if you can't live anywhere for free. So you either got to do something. You're an adult. You have to work. And so it was coming down to the end of the line where I'd drawn a line in the sand and said, if you don't have a job by this date, you're going to have to move out. And for me to say something like that was really difficult. And so at the last minute, at the 11th hour, he got a job and saved me from having to have that conversation. But I had that conversation in my head a lot. And so I already had things planned out, just what I was going to say. And I was saved from that. But I went through a lot of internal turmoil because I was reminded of my youngest daughter when she moved out. She wanted to move out. She was 17. She's like, I want to move in with my friend. And I told her, don't do it, because if you move out, you're not coming back. There's not a revolving door, and my life is going to change, and I'm going to adjust to you not being here, and the house is going to change, everything in it's going to change. 6 months, 8 months later or something, she came back, and her friend had fallen out. And now she was 18, but still she was really young, just turned 18 a couple months before that. But she wanted to come back home, and I was like, no, I told you. And it was really, really hard. She was crying, I was crying, and I finally left one night, and I put a note on the door for a homeless shelter number.
Oh, shit.
And that was really hard, but sometimes kids need those lessons. So
you stood firm in your decision, and that was hard for you and hard on her.
So hard for me.
Yeah.
It's so hard. You can say the thing and be tough and all of that, and then when it comes right down to it, I'm a softie. I mean, I'm a tough mom, but when it comes down to it, I'm actually really soft.
Yeah, she's like hoping that she'll just scare the shit out of you so you'll do it, so she doesn't actually have to implement the thing she said she was going to do. Is that about right?
That's about right. That's right, because I don't want to be. Can you just do what you're supposed to do so I don't have to be mean? Because I don't want to be mean. I love you.
Oh my gosh. Well, listen, you sharing yours is nothing. Like, I'm going to skip over. My lesson was just like meeting people where they are. I've grown a lot in 2 years, so my lessons this year for winter were mild. So I think I'm going to skip mine, and I want us to move right on to, we have a prompt for you guys to help you think about coming out of winter. So it's not just like the winter time, but coming out of winter and going into spring. Think about this as a journaling prompt for yourself. What seeds of intention did you plant during the winter that you're going to work on throughout the year? Like, that was exactly, yeah. Well, I feel like even part of that story, because it's now March and Cameron's still here, but you had like a whole thing around it.
I did.
And now you're getting to play that out as the months go on, sort of how this relationship.
Well, the other thing that I did in the winter time is that, and this was after the election, I decided November 7th that I was going to stop watching news, stop following
yeah.
Twitter. I was going to get out of all that stuff that I had been sucked into there for, since forever, too long. Being all involved and being absorbed in the political strife that was going on in the country. And so on the 7th of November, I'm like, I'm not reading any more news.
Nice.
I haven't been on Twitter. I won't read the news. But what I decided to do to take up the space that was left from not doing that and the time that was left is study astrology.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going to do for the next 4 years because I want to be able to teach it. So through the Witch Academy, our academy, I'd like to develop courses to teach astrology. And
I love that.
So that was one of the goals that I set for myself.
I'm proud of you for that because that's ambitious as fuck. It
really is. It's really fucking hard.
It's huge. It's a huge topic.
And it's hard to understand to read charts and then to be able to read transits and do all these things. I'm like, wow, it's going to take my brain. So I have to I do some work on it and then I have to take a break from it. Like, am I really going to be able to learn this? Yes, of course you're going to be able to learn it. Other people have learned it. You can learn it too.
Yes.
That's what I tell myself.
I love that. I love that. So it's funny because yours is sort of an online thing and a learning thing. Mine is too. I decided that I wanted to, even saying this out loud feels exhausting. But I'm committed to really learning Instagram and creating a connection on Instagram with our listeners, our followers, other witches, people who just want help, tips, whatever. And I'm so not the social media type, you guys. It hurts my soul.
Listen, here's the type that Jamie is not. Jamie doesn't carry her phone around with her.
I know. I left it at home all day today.
My phone is on me constantly. It's in my back pocket. It's in my bra or whatever. My phone is with me from the time I get up in the morning until I go to bed at night. Jamie, no.
You can't count on that.
No.
People probably think sometimes that I ignore them or I'm just I'm not responding to them, but I don't check my phone.
No, she doesn't check her
things.
phone.
I don't know. My
sister, she just doesn't spend a lot of time with her device in her hand.
Yeah.
And to be on social media, you kind of have to.
You do.
You've got to spend time with your phone in your hand.
I know.
And
it's going to be difficult. I know it. I know I'm setting myself up for a true challenge, but my hope is that, so it's I'm learning Instagram and I really want to create this community on there that's at least helpful. Because our goal in all of this, I think, is always to be helpful, to provide things that help witches in whatever they're working through.
Listen, new witches especially, and I get the message at least 2 times a week when I read through Facebook, because a new witch will come on there and say something or write a post about something, and I'm just like, oh, honey. I just wanted to take her in and be like,
I know. This is what I did before we created this, is I just used to have one-on-one conversations with people, and I found myself saying the same things over and over and over again, but to individuals. And I love that. It was still very rewarding, but I'm like, dude, I could do this on such a bigger level. I could just really help so many people at the same time, which is what inspired this whole thing to come about.
Which is maybe something that you can think about when,
when I'm making content.
Well, when you're, sometimes we have to hype ourselves up to get down to a job that's hard, right?
Yeah.
We need kind of motivation. And if you can remember that in making the content and creating the content, how many more people that you're going to be able to reach than just the few witches that you run into. And do you run into witches much anymore?
Not as much.
Yeah.
Nope. I feel like the universe did all of that to say, hey, until this switch flips for you, that you could be doing this at a different level. I'm just going to keep throwing single solitary witches at you, and you're going to keep saying the same thing over and over again, and you're going to think in your head all these times. You could make a fucking printout for that. You could make it easy. You should have something that's just oh, here, you meet a new witch. Here's all the resources that are great. Start here. Because that would be the first question I would get. Oh my gosh, what books do you recommend? Where do you recommend I start? That used to be the first thing that they would ask me, and I'm like, can we spend an afternoon? I would invite them to my house. I'm like, do you want to spend an afternoon? Because that's like a lot to say in a short conversation while she's the checkout girl and I'm buying something. I'm like, we're going to be here a minute. So like, I don't know that you really want me to tell you all that right now.
You probably haven't. Never mind. I'm going to leave that one alone.
So the thing that I'm actually working on, I'm learning Instagram, but the thing that I'm working on, Mom, is actually like embracing my own authenticity and working through my fear of judgment and rejection.
Oh,
That's what I think of when social media comes on, like being on camera, when we do our lives, when we do these podcasts, when we do anything else, I don't ever feel that way. But somehow with social media, like with shorts and reels and the shit that people create, I have the fear of judgment and rejection sort of like, it definitely creeps in like, what am I doing? This is not good enough. This doesn't look like, I judge myself against other people.
Well,
so like,
yeah, you compare yourself to all the other stuff out there.
Because I have to do all the research to look at channels and all this other crap. Like I've bought myself classes in this, you guys. Like I've learned how to know what I'm doing kind of, but.
Well, and it does feel.
It's exhausting.
It is exhausting.
Yeah.
Just
I gotta stop saying that, but that's what.
Well, the pressure to perform at a certain level or to create at a certain level, because that's the expectation, because other people have set the bar, or other similar people have set a bar.
I know.
For what reels look like and what shorts look like and all these things
for
look
witchcraft
like.
stuff.
For witchcraft stuff.
For witchcraft stuff.
Absolutely. And I don't know where they get the time, honestly, and they have all this beautiful stuff, and I'm like, wow. I mean, I don't know. I see them too, and I'm like, damn, my shit will never look like that.
Well, and I guess that's why I talk about authenticity, because I don't want to look like, like something I'm not. That's the true thing. I don't want to look like something I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't want to pretend that I'm always in full makeup with my hair done, like in all of my witchiness, you know?
Yeah.
I'm wearing a Kansas City Chiefs sweatshirt right now. This is not a witchy outfit. My hair's in a ponytail. I have no makeup on. I'm fucking good with who I am. But there's this expectation that
because you know you're going to be judged.
Golly. See? So I'm working around that, you guys.
And the thing, what you have to do is not read the comments that people say. Just
I know.
Ignore them.
I took the class that
because
said,
there's too many people that are just, for no other reason than they are nasty on the internet. There's so much negativity. It's like, listen, just post your shit and then,
post. There's actually a thing for it in the school the classes that I took. It's called like post and burn, or post and something. Post and ghost. I knew it rhymed. Post and ghost is what they say.
Post and ghost?
Post and ghost, because they're like, do not spend time on all the shit people might bring up. Like, stay there for 30 minutes for the real people who the information's helpful for. But then after that, you need to ghost that post.
Yeah.
Because if you go back,
ghost that post.
Ghost that post.
Ghost that post. I like that.
I know, right?
That's really good.
It's helpful for me so that I don't feel like I need to be like in that shit. So this is so far off of Ostara, but I have to tell you guys, it feels really rewarding to talk about the transitioning.
But we're talking about like, what did you do? What did you plant this winter? Yeah. What kind of seeds were planted this winter that are
So that's what you guys are going to see me working on and maybe talking about, and it might come up all throughout the year during these podcasts. But we're going to move to the next point, which is really like, after taking the time to reflect, it's time to reawaken our energy. So like, first you're looking back, and now you're going to look forward. You're going to start breathing in invigorating energy. The days are growing longer, and we're going to focus on our physical and emotional reawakening and what that looks like. It's individual for everybody, but I mean, it starts like, just start moving your body every day. That's why I love getting out, gardening. If I can get in and swim, anything to get my body physically moving, it starts to make me feel like spring is truly here.
I need a tan so bad. I'm so freaking pale. I can't wait to get out by the pool. It's really kind of embarrassing. I live in Florida, and I'm white as a ghost. I'm white like I was in Kansas City.
Oh no, we've been
where my
indoors
legs
a lot
never
too.
Saw the light.
Like your skin is so white it's almost see through. Yeah,
just about. Yeah.
So
it looks sickly, actually.
It is funny how people associate being tan with being healthier. It's really funny. So I wanted to give you guys this little practice that I do in breath work. And it's not that I do this necessarily in spring, but I do this when I'm feeling really down or like depressed or dark or sad, or like I can't break myself of a certain spell of emotions. And it's it's a breathing exercise. That's it. I just sit somewhere where I'm comfortable.
Is this the 4-3-2 one?
No.
Oh, okay.
No.
Was that what it was? 4-3-2?
I can't even remember it now because I don't. That was a new practice. This is something I've been doing a very long time.
Okay.
And it's in different. You can think of this in different ways. The first way is like breathing in bright light. So when you take your breath in, imagine the like beautiful golden light is touching every single cell in your body and it's waking it up. Like you can even picture your little cells like they have little faces going like, oh, they're waking from their slumber and they're all like getting excited.
Is that from my Billionaire?
No, I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
Did she say something like that?
She says something like that, and you've been doing
breathing
this for
in
a long
light.
time?
Yeah,
yeah. She talks about a golden light. Yeah,
the golden light. It used to be just called white light, but when people started putting the golden light in there, like I like the golden light better. It reminds me of sunshine more than white light. Like white light is like a light bulb.
Yeah.
So I guess I think of white light as artificial, but the other way is what you're breathing out. When you're breathing out that tired exhaustion air. Like,
does it look like smog?
You know what? You can add colors to it, but sometimes I just think like this is really silly. I pictured little tiny Z's. I'm breathing out little tiny Z's.
Oh, that's so cute.
Like emojis, like the tiredness is leaving the body. Like that's it. Like all that sleepiness, all that rest.
That's so cute.
This is the way that I did exercises with James Van Praagh way back when. Like, gosh, 2000.
His brother just died not long ago.
Man,
I saw that on social media, which you're never on, so you wouldn't know.
I don't know anything.
Sorry.
You know what?
Sorry for the quick random thought.
Well, quick side note, what Jolene is always saying to me every time she sees me, she's like, oh my gosh, did you see? And I instantly, before she says anything, I was like, no, of course I didn't see it. I don't watch news. I'm not on social media. No, whatever you're going to tell me, I have no idea.
Unless it's a movie, maybe.
Yeah, I do
might
like
have
movies.
seen a movie.
Yeah, but...
Okay, so the breathing in, breathing out.
That's my favorite exercise for waking up the blood in my body. Like that's what I do to feel invigorated, to like get all of my little cells jumping for joy because it's spring.
Okay, so we're awakening now, right? Our next thing is preparing for growth. Ooh, so just as we talked about this in the beginning, how we're so excited about everything blooming and little buds on the trees and the grass coming up. And I remember the prettiest thing in Kansas City was when the daffodils would poke through the snow and they would bloom.
Oh my gosh.
There's nothing prettier than seeing a yellow daffodil coming out of the snow. But as this happens, as the earth wakes up, we can prepare ourselves for our own growth by clearing out any like lingering winter energy, kind of like you did with the Z's, like the blowing out,
breathe out the sleepy,
breathing out the sleepiness. Also energetically cleaning your space.
Yeah. Like,
I was thinking as you were talking a minute ago about, preparing for this, is like, it's time to start putting all those extra blankets away that I've had out all winter, and some of the we can never wear a coat. Nobody has a coat in Florida. But so when it's cold, you'll see us wearing like 4 sweatshirts, 4 hoodies. So those things can get put in the back, washed and put away. All the winter type things, in the wintertime, I'm wearing pajamas to bed. We're in the summertime, I might be wearing a t-shirt. Let's see.
I do refreshing my houseplants. So like I'll go get some new spring greens. I'll just look for like new things they might have at Lowe's or another plant shop for a house plant, not for my garden, but just to bring in more greenery. I love that. And then I have certain wreaths that I hang up, and I'll put fresh rosemary behind my door. So like I'll hang a new sprig of rosemary. That's like every season I change that out, and then I'll burn the other one. Yeah. So bringing in more greens and flowers. Yep. So
the other thing you can do is visualize the intentions that you planted during the winter beginning to sprout. So this is like a visualization exercise where you just sit and think about that, and think about your, my astrology moving on beyond, now I know the stars, or rather the planets, all the signs for the planets, all the signs. Yeah, I know all the houses and all that, like moving on before that. That's going to be my growth.
Mine's going to be like, I will open up Instagram and I will see growth there because I've done things. I actually put things out there. So like I know that when I have my phone around me all the time, Like, it'll feel more comfortable to open that up. I won't feel that dread, that breath that I just did, like, oh, God, I got to do this. Like, it'll actually feel like, ooh, exciting. Oh, I'm going to be happy about this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So now that we've explored how to transition from winter's rest to spring's energy, let's dive into the enchanting tale of the Goddess Ostara and her magical act of compassion. Which I've never called it that, a magical act of compassion.
Is that what she did?
So it is an act of compassion, but really, like, the first story, the way that I read it, it was she felt sorry for the little guy. But
back up and start from the beginning.
I know.
Back up and start from the beginning, because I know this is your favorite story.
It is my favorite story.
And I know that I'm going to remember it as you tell the story, because you've told it before in other things that we've done.
Yeah.
You know, we've done New Witch meetups and stuff where we talked
and
about
lives
that.
and celebrating.
And lives and stuff. Yeah.
So, all right.
That.
The Goddess Ostara is from the Germanic pantheon, which I know nothing about. Like, I do Greek, Roman, and maybe a few, like, small others for goddesses. But, so she doesn't really exist anywhere else in my scope of, like, the pantheons and the different lore that I study. But she is so important to me because she is the goddess of spring in my head because of this one story. It's because of this story. All right. So being the goddess of spring, she's also the goddess of dawn and fertility. She represents rebirth and new beginnings, but she also is like the balance between light and dark. Because remember, at the equinox, we have equal day and equal night. So she is the balance between light and dark. On the equinox, which is in like a week, we will have, our days will be longer, the daylight will be longer than the nighttime. But on that day, it's equal, light and night. So according to legend, Ostara encountered a wounded bird during her journey. But that's not how I'm going to tell the story. It starts before. It starts in the winter. In the fall, when all of the animals are collecting all their things they need to survive winter. You know, the squirrels are gathering their nuts, and the chipmunks, and like the birds are getting ready.
There was a little lazy creature.
A play baby.
A play baby.
I probably gave him my own.
Well, that is a name that's your name.
That's my name.
Yeah,
so this is the play baby bird, and I think it does need to be female, even though I've always called it a him bird because probably I didn't want to accept that it's me. So I tried
Jamie's
to make it
describing herself as a child now.
Yes. So there was a little bird who decided they wanted to play more than they wanted to prepare. They wanted to involve themselves in like everybody else's business, not their own business, which is being a bird and what birds need to do for the coming winter. So when he went to talk to his friends, he's like, "What are you doing? Let's go play." And the squirrel's like, "No, I've got to hide nuts." You know, then go to the chipmunk. "Hey, let's go out and like, you know, pick blackberries." No, I got to prepare. Winter is coming. Winter is coming. And so he does this with all the friends. And then when all of the birds are getting ready to leave, he's like, why do you want to fly south? Like, it's beautiful here. This is perfect. We lived here. He's a new bird. I've lived here all my life. Why would I leave it? And they're like, nope, you really need to come and do this. So kind of like not following directions, not taking on the responsibility of self-care. So the little bird, you know, winter starts setting in and it gets colder and colder. He finds places to hide. He starts looking for his friends. His friends are nowhere to be found. The birds are all gone. He's alone. And although in reality, I'm sure the bird would have passed on long before 3 months later at the equinox. Yeah. The story comes to where the little bird has survived barely through the winter and is like dying in the forest as Ostara is walking through the forest. And as she's walking through, imagine she's touching, you know, the trees and the different plants and the ground, and it's warming. The ice and snow is melting. The trees are forming buds. You know, things are popping up from the ground. Like she's bringing in that light and growth and that rebirth of the earth. And she comes upon the little bird. And he says, "Please, Goddess, you know, help me. Like, I'm dying. Can you do anything to save me?" And she goes, "Little bird, I can't save you." Like, she's not the goddess of bringing things back from the dead, right? She's the goddess of rebirth. He would need to be rebirthed into something, or she. And so she said, "I can't save you in your current form, but I can transform you." And so she said, "I will give you a body that you will never need to leave this area that you love so much." And so she turns the little bird into a bunny, because bunnies don't have to leave their home. They just hibernate. And so that is why we have the Easter bunny that lays eggs, because the bird, that's why I say it must have been a female, the bird now lays these colorful eggs, well, the rabbit, lays the colorful eggs for the goddess every spring as a gift and as like a way of saying thank you. And so this is how like the fertility, eggs, the Easter bunny, how that whole thing came about. Why does a bunny lay eggs? And that's what I had to do, that research. Like, and so I found that story back when the internet was just pages without anything on the sides or ads or fonts, or like you only knew addresses to go to. Links were barely a thing, and witchcraft books weren't really around. So I got to see it. I got to see that story told in a way that was like before the internet got a hold of it, or other books or other interpretations. And that's still how I remember it. So it was an act of compassion that she transformed the bird into a rabbit, a hare, a bunny, so that it could survive and that it never needed to leave its home again. And yeah, just the ability for it to like lay eggs, and that's the fertility, and it's a gratitude symbol of like, the goddess.
I really love that story.
I do too.
I absolutely love that story. And you really told it. I feel like you told it with a different spin this time. Did you? Or is that always the way that you told it? Well, anyway, I love that story. I hope you guys enjoyed it too. And with that story, the Goddess Ostara, fresh in our minds, let's talk about how we can embrace the energy of spring and honor Ostara in simple yet meaningful ways. Mm-hmm. So, witchy practices, spring, new beginnings, and witchy practices. Something we can do. Plant something. Oh my gosh. You can plant literally. Get some seeds from the store. Put them in a little dirt. Even if you live in an apartment, you can put seeds in a pot and put them in your windowsill in your kitchen. Or you can get a little new plant in a pretty pot and start a new small plant that will then grow into something like bigger. Of course, if you have space and if you have a yard, gardening, because the gardening connects us to the earth and it symbolizes nurturing and growth in your life.
I think about creating a spring altar. I love to go around and pick little flowers or find little things on the ground, and I collect all these little nature things that signify spring to me, and I put them on my altar. So with life also comes death, right? So I still find little bees that have passed on. Like I still bring them in the house, butterfly wings, dragonfly, whatever I find that's like from that time, because that's living and growing, man. Things got to be born and things got to die and stuff got to eat and all the cycles. I bring all that stuff in and make a really nice spring altar. I also definitely take advantage of all the stores having completely witchy, not even knowing it, Easter items, right? Yeah. All those bunnies and eggs and colorful things, that's all for us. So I add things that have like personal intentions for me.
And well, I think one of my favorite things, and this may come from living in Kansas City for 30 years and really having everything shut down for the winter, where you're not opening a window, you got fireplace going.
You've been trying to keep the outside outside.
Yeah, you've been trying to keep the outside out for like 6 months. We don't have to do that here, but still the house has been closed up. The heater's been on for a while. Spring cleaning. Oh my gosh, who doesn't love a spring cleaning ritual? So, but to make this into a ritual, could use sage or Palo Santo or rosemary to cleanse your home and just move that winter energy right on out the windows. Of course, opening up your windows and letting the fresh air in. And you know what? Something that's going to be on my list is going to be to clean my windows because they're dirty. And I'm like,
they're dirty.
I want to be able to see out them because it's getting so pretty and the days are so long. Yeah. And as you do these things, as you clean out your house and open your windows and maybe clean your windows if you're like me, you can set intentions for the season ahead.
I want to add one little note about cleaning and how I feel like the internet becomes full of these witchcraft brooms for cleaning to buy.
Oh, yeah, the besom.
Yeah, the besoms,
Besom, whatever it's
however
called.
You want to say it. You guys, for the longest time, I couldn't have any of that. They didn't sell that on the internet. That wasn't popular. You know what we would do? We would grab an herb bundle and we would tie it to a regular ass broom. Your regular ass broom. Down at the bottom, up at the top, didn't matter. But that herb is going with you as you're actually cleaning the house,
Oh.
And so you can have that. You can do not air fresheners. That's not what I was trying to say. What? The cleaning sprays, but get one that's like along with a scent that is. They have sage and lemon and lavender, all kinds of new ones that are the bunny-free brands that make really good essential oil type cleaning products. Yes, all good ways to do witchy cleaning.
Yeah.
So Embracing the energy of a star is all about welcoming growth and balance and renewal into our lives. So whether you're going to plant seeds or create an altar or cleanse your space, every small action carries powerful energy with it.
We want to thank you for joining us today as we celebrated Ostara and the magic of the spring equinox.
We hope this episode inspired you to embrace the energy of spring and to create your own magical moments. Big, little, whatever they want to be.
Until next time, keep your intentions strong, your hearts open, and always remember the magic begins with you.
Bye, witches.
Bye, witches.